everyone, welcome to Flavors of Fashion, and this is Prasanna Karthik from SpringNectar TV. Today, world is facing the constant challenge of generating more power to fulfill ever-increasing needs for energy. This has led to the emission of excessive greenhouse gases, which is causing an irreversible impact on our environment. In these days of energy crisis and global warming, it is more sensible to encourage the eco-friendly handloom industry rather than textile mills and power looms that are energy and infrastructure intensive. Using handloom fabrics can help in reducing global warming. Handloom is a highly comfortable fabric, and by supporting handloom, we will also preserve the rich textile heritage and art of India. This industry can generate and sustain employment for millions of people with no additional need for infrastructure or extra energy. Indian handloom provides a livelihood for 12 million people and is the second largest employment provider after agriculture in India. The story of a sari is incomplete without the mention of the weaver who weaves tirelessly on the shuttle, producing intricate weaves that are simply breathtaking. They are our unsung heroes and sheroes who deserve all the appreciation and honor for the hard work they put in. The best way to show we care is by wearing what they make, as simple as that. In India, we have a variety of hand-woven fabrics which are slowly dying because there is no market for them. In today's show, I'm bringing you a doctor and a fashion aficionado who has always been enthusiastic about India's classic apparel, sari. She blended her passion with a social cause by promoting Chandamangalam fabrics by reviving the handloom units during the unprecedented times. I'm sure you're going to enjoy watching this empowering talk show and inspire those around you to opt for sustainable clothing. Let's jump onto the show.
Chino lives in San Diego, California. Chino moved to the US after her 12th grade in India, and she's been living in the US for the past 19 years. She's a mother of 3, the youngest being 7 weeks old. Chino is a fashion enthusiast who loves fashion designing and seeing her designs on people. Professionally, Chino is a doctor, specializes in internal medicine, who works for Scripps Memorial Hospital, San Diego.
So Chino, being a physician and a fashion aficionado is a deadly combination. So when did you first realize that you have a creative side in your personality?
Ever since I was a child, I think I was always fascinated by colors. I was always fascinated by patterns and how people put them together. And I always noticed people who were creative, whether it's been the arts, whether it be literature. So I got interested in all of that as a child, just taking part in learning, whether it's Indian classical art form, dancing, singing, things like that. I think from there I started noticing it, and throughout my life I have kept that going, regardless of what I did with my professional life.
Could you tell us who's your biggest inspiration?
My biggest inspiration, I think, was my mother. Ever since I can remember, she always had the most beautiful saris. They were never expensive saris, but whatever she had, she loved to get very unique designs and patterns and things like that. And she always kind of gave importance to quality of something, not just in clothes, but in general. When she would get something, she always mentioned or instilled that in me. Quality always matters, and I think that was an inspiration that I realized whatever I did in life later on, that quality is what matters. So I would say my mother.
Mothers are always the inspiration, right? Applies to me too. Now coming to sustainability. Sustainability for me is a lifestyle where you give back to the planet more than you take away from it. And conversations on sustainability are gaining intensity post-COVID-19. So I want to know, what is your idea of sustainability in the fashion industry?
I completely agree with you, Prasanna, in terms of giving back to the universe. Sustainability definitely echoes that with me. But also the fact that, we stop just buying things. We are, as society, we just keep buying and buying and buying. And just going back to what I said before, quality is never, focused enough. So sustainability to me also means having something that is timeless with you, whatever that might be, and it doesn't go out of trend or out of fashion or anything like that. So you don't keep keep buying to fit into whatever the trend is, but you have timeless things, and those things, they take time to be made. They take care and effort to be made, but once that's done and you have something like that, you kind of stop this whole race of trying to buy the newest and latest things. So that's what sustainability means to me, having things that are classic and timeless.
Totally in sync with you. In my family, clothes were passed down from one generation to the next, and we don't overbuy new clothes all the time. The idea is to create very easy, no fuss kind of clothes that you can keep in your wardrobe forever, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, Chino, what is your vision for modern day women?
Modern day woman, so somebody who finds time for herself. This might be so silly to say, but finding time for yourself, in the sense that finding time for your own dreams, your ambitions, things like that, to pursue that, that takes special effort from our part. But because as women, we are conditioned to do everything, but also be sort of a sacrificial lamb. We kind of forgo the dreams and ambitions that we once pursued because we want to pursue whatever society wants us to, whether it be a family. Once you have kids, you're not supposed to do certain things, or once you have a certain job, you're not supposed to do that. So to me, a modern woman it's somebody who thinks beyond that, who does all her roles, whatever her role might be. Whether it be a mother, whether it be a daughter, wife, whatever her role is, she does that. But at the same time, she finds time to pursue her own ambition and own dreams. And that, I think, is empowered through education and through financial independence, which I think every woman should have. And once that's the case, she should be able to make decisions for herself. This is what I want to do with my life. And that's what a modern woman means to me.
Nice. So to summarize, modern women are fearless to experiment, women with vision and financially independent. Could you tell us what is the story behind the Chandamangalam handloom sarees and what happened in 2018?
Well, in 2018, Kerala underwent a major disaster, and that was the floods, as many of you have heard. A lot of people lost their families, lost their lives, livelihood. So one of the major business that was affected was the weaving business. As it is, weaving business is pretty backward, sort of to say, because they're not one that makes a lot of profit that they can afford to have some time off. These are people who work basically on daily wages. So because of the floods, what happened, a lot of physical looms were destroyed, a lot of people lost their lives, like I mentioned. So and many people who remained there, they did not know anything else to do, in the sense that they did not have any other life skill. This was the only thing that they had done all their lives. So I read about this in the newspapers, and I thought, this is bizarre. One particular group of people disproportionately affected compared to the others. So that is basically how Chandamangalam came into the news, because that's an area in Kerala where this is the only thing that's done for decades, weaving handloom items, handloom clothes. So like I mentioned, Chandamangalam was greatly affected because of this, and I thought, what can I do, being here in the US? And that's how, luckily, I got into contacting some of the weavers, particularly one weaver who said, they're able to do some amount of weaving from the little bit of loom that they had still remaining even after the floods. And I said, so why don't we do that? So he actually encouraged me, in the sense that he said within, say, a 2 months time frame, he would be able to do a certain amount of sarees. And I thought, okay, maybe this is one way I can help. So what we did is we, along with the weavers, we also contacted a mural artist, because we wanted to bring some design element into this as well. And using both their help, we got some sarees done at this handloom facility, along with the mural paintings, which we designed ourselves. I designed many of them myself, and we got them here. And we conducted a fashion show for one of our Onam celebration here. Onam is one of the biggest festivals from perspective of Kerala. And here in the US, I think we celebrated a little bit more than the people in Kerala, just because we have a lot more resources here. We're a lot more Kerala associations, Malayali associations. So I figured this would be a great opportunity to showcase these sarees, because people love dressing up here, particularly for these kind of functions. So that's what we did in 2018. Got all the saris here and did this fashion show. So this is a Kerala sari that I mentioned. As you can see, the gold and the cream weaving. This is a handloom sari. And the design element, what we got the first time around was this mural painting. So this is a Kathakali art form, and this is something called Nangyar Kutha. It's done by women particularly, and it's one of the most traditional art forms. And this is all there is in this whole sari. The rest of the sari is plain. We got sort of a contemporary border to go with it. And the rest of the sari is exactly how a normal Kerala sari would look like. So we thought by adding something like this, there is tradition in this as well as some modern element, depending on how we drape it. And the fashion show, we actually had this draped with leather pants. Wow. So the idea the first time around was to introduce something like this and to say, mural painting is not uncommon. Actually, in Kerala, it is very, very common in Kerala saris right now. But a lot of mural painting is actually done by machine, or it's done by acrylic painting and things like that. But the original art form, it's done from particular colors that are derived from plants and herbs, and there's only like 5 colors that they mix, and it's a very complicated, it's a very skillful art. So that's what we wanted to bring out with this and kind of tell the audience that there is still value in having original mural art. There's still value in having original handloom. Even handloom saris, the saris that look exactly like this, they can be replicated using power loom. Power loom is much cheaper. Of course, it's much more affordable, you could say, for a lot of people, and it's a quick thing, so people buy that. And again, going back to the sustainability question, a lot of people sometimes think, let's just get one sari, wear it for this function, and that's it. So a power loom sari kind of fits into that as opposed to a handloom sari, which is something much more timeless, will stay with you for a long period of time just from the fact that it's handloom and the material is much better, quality is much better. So this is what we intended to do with the first fashion show.
I would also like to add that there is a major concern that how to make the handloom a significant part of the urban economy, and from what you're saying, it'll only happen if you start making designs and products which are needed in urban markets. How you start making relevance in different areas, like how you conjure the idea of a modern approach to Kerala saris by adding color and patterns that cater to the global audience, which is remarkable.
Yes, absolutely. So the second time around, which was in 2020 during the pandemic, that is what my focus was, to try to bring saris here that did not look like the typical Kerala saris, but it had all the elements by adding in colors to the Kerala sari, by adding in patterns. The one I'm wearing right now is a sari, like as you can see, there's black, there's gray, there's cream, there's the gold kassav going across. So with saris like this was our intention, to kind of give that modern spin. A lot of people think sari is something that we should wear only for a particular occasion, or certain saris we should wear at certain occasions, things like that. And we wanted to kind of open people's minds into thinking, this is a sari that can be worn any which way, for any occasion. This can be worn for a party, it can be worn to an interview, it can be worn just when you're out and about. So that's what we tried to showcase in another fashion show we did in 2020. Again, in 2020, with the pandemic going, Chandlamangalam was affected again. A lot of people lost their livelihoods again. Just after 2018, 2019, they were kind of coming back onto track with a lot of focus being put on them with world designers all over the world. But in 2020, again, with the pandemic, businesses were going down, and this is something that we did in terms of getting another set of modern saris, you could say, for the audience here.
It is a huge skill set which we are talking about. It is the heritage of our textiles. So much has gone behind creating beautiful handlooms, right?
It definitely is a skill. It's a dying skill if we don't pay much attention to it.
Yes, yeah. Where do you get the inspiration for your designs?
It's hard to tell one particular inspiration, but a lot of it, I think it happens very spontaneously for me. Just looking outside, sometimes just looking at nature, just looking at all the colors so beautifully blended, whether it be birds, whether it be flowers, whether it be just greenery, how it all kind of blends together. And I always wonder, we have it so perfectly outlined for us in the universe in terms of color combinations. But otherwise, I look at things where I think, is this something that would be appealing to all age groups. I don't focus on one particular age group. Again, going back to, I think, to the timelessness in my mind. That's how I think I inspire. I draw inspiration from.
Nice. I can't wait to wear one of your designs soon.
Absolutely, I'd be glad.
Out of all your designs to date, what would you consider your personal favorite and what is your personal style?
Well, I don't think I have a particular favorite. I like a lot of the things that, in terms of the saris that we have gotten here, I love all of those. But I don't have a personal favorite. My personal style, I would say, is something that would be comfortable for me. Comfort is number one, especially now being a mother of three. That is key. And we don't get to dress up much, but I don't think we need to do that. Even with minimal dressing, it's all about how we pull it off in terms of adding accessories to it in a stylish way. It doesn't have to be the whole 9 yards of dressing up. I think even in simple attires, it can be styled in a way that will look attractive. So I think that's what my style is, something elegant and something comfortable.
Nice. So you presented the Chendamangalam handloom sarees at a fashion show organized by the San Diego Malayali Association. What urged you to do that?
Well, I realized fashion is something that attracts a large amount of people, whether it be fashion show, whether it be a fashion shoot in a magazine. We always, look at it. Even people with not much interest in fashion, I feel like this is something that easily becomes something of interest. So usually in Malayali Association programs, we see a lot of dancing, music, or skits, dramas, things like that. So a fashion show is rarely portrayed. So I found a group of folks who were interested, who had similar interest, and then they were like, yes, let's do this fashion show. It will reach a large group of audience. So that's what prompted me to do this. And I wanted to project it in a way so that we're not saying, this is for charity alone, but more so in terms of recognizing their skill and giving it due respect. Because like I said, this is a dying art, and we need to realize what actually goes into the process, and then we can actually respect it, and as opposed to just say, the floods happened or the pandemic happened, and so the weavers, they're poor folks, so let's just give them some money. I really wanted the audience to appreciate the art and the skill. So I think a fashion show definitely helped in that way. And what we did was, for the first time, for the first fashion show, we had these saris draped in different ways. Each person had it in a non-conventional way, like I mentioned the previous one. We did it with the leather pants. Somebody else did it with the large lehenga skirt. Somebody else had it draped from in the opposite direction as opposed to what we would normally wear. So things like that, and different blouse styles were introduced as well. So that's what we tried to do with the first one, to introduce it in a different light, but also kind of shed information on the fact that this is highly skilled activity behind creation of these saris. With the second fashion show, which was in 2020 during the pandemic, that was a virtual one where, the focus, like I mentioned, was on saris like these, much more colorful Kerala saris. And with that, what we tried to do was to open people's minds into seeing how these saris could be worn in different occasions, whether it be going to college, whether it be to somebody's best friend's wedding. Can you wear a cotton sari to a grand wedding? Of course you can. It just depends on how you style it. You always don't need a very elaborate Kanjipuram sari for an occasion like that. So we try to do things like that, or something else where when you're traveling, can you wear a sari? Most people say no to sari when you're traveling, but if the sari is comfortable, if the drape is in a particular way, if it sits in a certain way, then definitely it can be used during travel. So like that, we try to incorporate different scenarios where somebody would be, or out on a date. Would you wear a sari out on a date here to a cocktail party where everybody else is wearing elaborate dresses? Of course you can wear a sari. It just depends on how you style it, and that's what we try to portray in the fashion show the second time around.
How difficult was it to pitch handloom saris to the US audience?
Well, in the US, like I mentioned before, we celebrate a lot more festivals than in Kerala. And the reason for that is, we all kind of share love for our state, even if we've been here 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, that love does not fade. Example for that would be Onam celebration, which is usually a few days in Kerala. But here in the US, we celebrate it over a month sometimes, because there's many different Malayali associations with several different programs coming up many of those weekends. So for all these parties, all these functions, people want to wear different saris. So the challenge was to try to imbibe that you don't need so many different saris for all these, not just Onam, but any other festival. You don't need so many different varieties of saris or salwars or lehengas, but how you can restyle them in different ways and still have a new outcome, but it's the same garment. So for example, wearing a sari with a different blouse, so wearing the sari in a different drape, it can look completely different. Your jewelry, your accessories, everything makes it different. So trying to get that point across was difficult, because people are used to just getting new clothes each time for each festival. The other thing, like I mentioned before, a lot of people were, even if they were wearing traditional clothing, a lot of people were going for power loom items just because they were more reasonable, and to encourage handloom was one of the, I wouldn't say difficult, but it was a process, because people needed to see that. So we had a video where we outlined all the different steps that undertakes this handloom making process. So just seeing that video, people are like, wow, there's so many steps behind just making the thread. Forget the actual garment, just to make the thread, it takes so many days. And then finally it goes to the loom, and then it gets weaved into a particular garment. So that was a big challenge in terms of making people understand, this is not an overnight thing, or this is not mass-produced things. These are made by actual human beings with their hands.
Yeah. You buy a product only if it is attractive and you're fascinated by it, then it doesn't matter whether it's handloom or not. I read somewhere that you should not be crying handloom and people buying it. It is not a sad story, it's a beautiful story.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is not a crying story. You should not think of it that way. And if you just keep thinking it's for charity, you might get one or two, and that would be the end of it. But if you really realize the skill and the art behind it, it'll keep you sort of a constant buyer of this, a constant admirer of this, because you're valuing their skill.
So you spoke about styling saris and quirky blouses. Can you tell me some styling tips?
Absolutely. So I think style is something very personal to each one of us. Something that I may find stylish, you may not find stylish. So it comes down to what your interest is and what your confidence level is. Whatever you wear, it should boost your confidence, right? That's the whole point of styling something. And if that confidence comes to you while wearing a sari with a denim jacket, then go for it. Or whether it be, do you always have to wear high heel sandals or traditional footwear with saris? No, you want to wear it with sneakers, wear it with sneakers. If that's what brings you confidence, and that's style right there, because that confidence that you get from it, it's making you a very stylish person. So that is my concept, whatever it be. So whether it's styling with the leather pants instead of an underskirt, whether it's wearing sneakers with sari instead of traditional high heels or sandals or whatever kind, whether it's wearing a denim jacket instead of a traditional blouse, crop tops, t-shirts, they can all be styled with sari. So it's all a matter of just kind of opening your mind to it and not thinking, this is not how a sari is supposed to be worn, or what will people think if I do wear it this way as opposed to that way. Just have an open mind and try styles like those. So that would be my styling tip.
Nice. Women all over the country are wearing sari, but I don't like the divide that the sari is a traditional outfit, which automatically makes it unfit. Styling like this might give them more options for people to wear for different occasions.
Absolutely, that's the whole point. How, again, going back to sustainability and how we can make saris timeless is by using it for different occasions. And if different occasions calls you to look different, this is what you do, you style it differently.
So, yes. You being a fashion designer, how would you benchmark the Kerala fashion industry globally?
So I think Kerala has a lot of potential in terms of the skill, in terms of the quality of fabric, things like that. It's only a matter of introducing the Kerala fashion to global fashion, and that requires work because even though it's a skilled art, like I mentioned, just looking at handloom, they're not so good at the business side of it, just because they've never been trained to do any kind of business outside of Kerala. So now with the floods and with the pandemic affecting them so much, a lot of designers have put in their interest in this, and they are bringing a lot of this fashion abroad. And if you buy something handmade here, it's really expensive. You go to any of the websites, you go to any of the stores and you say it's handmade, it's definitely more expensive than something else. And that should be the case with these handloom things as well. Because they are handmade, they should be more expensive and they should be valued that way. So a global market is it's there. You just have to pitch it the right way, just like I mentioned before, and try to make people understand that this does appeal to a global audience.
I know how busy is a doctor's lifestyle is, running around, and to top it all, you have 3 kids. How do you maintain a healthy work-life balance?
Well, I think it all comes to time management. Whatever your job is, whatever your profession, even if you're a stay-at-home mom, I feel like it's a very, very busy life. So it's all about time management. It's all about your interest in something. If you're interested in something, if you're really passionate about something, you will find the time for it, no matter what's going on in your life. For me personally, if I say, I don't have the time for something, that just means or translates to, I'm not so interested in it. I may be a little bit interested in it, but I'm not 100% in it. If I'm 100% in something, I can definitely find the time for all these things. And I'm sure there are many women out there who are doing even more than I am in terms of work or in terms of raising kids or whatever their role is supposed to be. And how they do it is time management. So that's, I think, my secret as well.
Okay. Nice. How supportive is your husband and his family in your career? Could you give us a brief insight?
They're very, very supportive in my career as well as in the non-career things that I'm pursuing right now, just to pursue my, my interest. They're very, very supportive, and I'm blessed in that way. But what I want to tell women out there is, a lot of you may not have that kind of a support, and it definitely makes it difficult to pursue your ambition or your dream, but it should not stop you. Whatever way you can work it around, I think I encourage everybody to pursue, like I mentioned in the beginning about a modern woman. I encourage everyone to pursue that, no matter what kind of support that they receive. For me personally, it's been great because I am getting good support.
One piece of advice that you would give to the people who are passionate about fashion designing and styling?
Well, I think my biggest tip would be to go for it. I know there are a lot of things that may not be at the right place for you. You may think, okay, let me do it another time, or let me ask somebody, or things like that. Let me read more about it and things like that, and that may delay things, which is good. You need to know before you pursue something. You need to know. You need to have a basic idea of what it is. But I think my advice would be just go for it and try to explore it. And it is a wonderful thing if you're really passionate about it. It's not just about dressing up. It's about learning about clothes, learning about fabric making, the history behind it. Why do some people wear a certain type of clothing in a certain part of the world? So learning more about the history. So it's not just the dressing up part, but I think there's a lot more element to it, and it's a fun ride. So if you're even a little bit interested, I would say go for it.
Okay, I'll remember that advice as well.
Great.
What are your future plans?
So ideally, I want to pursue more in this, as I'm really, really passionate about the handloom industry. I want to get more saris here for the US audience. I want to add my element of design to these saris, and it's not an easy process because to have custom made handloom saris, they would have the whole loom kind of repurposed or redone for each sari, which is difficult to do. So I would need sort of a large number of order to make a particular kind of sari, so they can have the loom made a certain way in terms of the warp and in terms of the weaves. But I want to add my design element to it, and then contact and more weavers, get them involved, and bring more saris here, and hopefully have another fashion show with new folks.
Yes.
From there.
We are waiting for that. We are waiting to have your fashion show one in LA.
Absolutely. I would love to. I don't know many people there, but I would love to.
Thanks a lot, Chino, for taking time and doing this wonderful interview. Thanks for the inspiration, and I think India can become the next big global hub for handloom textiles, just like France is the global hub for perfumes. If we all can come together with the right support, we can achieve this, and we have to support Indian brands that can do well globally. It was an empowering, eye-opening chat session, and I wish you all the very best in your future projects and gratitude on your humanitarian side.
Thank you very much, Prasanna. I certainly want to thank Dr. Rose Muralikrishnan as well as SpringNectar TV for giving me this opportunity to share some of my life experiences as well as my interest in handloom clothes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
This is Prasanna signing off, and I'll meet you all in another interesting episode with another interesting guest. I hope you all enjoyed the show just like we did. Please subscribe to SpringNectar TV on Roku and show us some love. Until then, stay safe and stay classy.